So, with TD Jakes dropping this defamation lawsuit against Pastor Duane Youngblood, people are wondering, did he drop this lawsuit because of the controversy involving his ex-son-in-law? With everything that's been happening in that family recently, from the leadership transitions and all of the mounting rumors, people can't help but connect the dots. So let's get into the speculation, the facts, and the details. What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here and being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this holy mess. So listen, guys, I will be the first to admit when I heard that TD Jakes filed a lawsuit against the guy that Larry Reed interviewed on his channel last year, I was actually all for it. Even though I didn't know whether what he was saying was true, I just felt that the allegations that he was sharing was just kind of like, listen, if he did do those things, attempted to kiss, made a comment over the phone, gave suggestions, but nothing physical actually happened, yeah, it definitely doesn't look good for his character. But the fact that Dwayne Youngblood was an actual convicted sexual offender sitting there doing this interview on Zoom with Larry Reed with an ankle monitor on his, legs at the moment, it just really was like, are we really doing this right now? And if you are demanding $6 million from TD Jakes, how much did you pay your victims? That was the feeling that I felt about the whole thing at the time. And I also felt like Larry Reed was in on it. And that's my personal opinion. I'm standing on it. So when TD Jakes filed the defamation lawsuit against Dwayne Youngblood, many people saw it as an attempt to reclaim his reputation after the accusations about him going to the Diddy parties, allegedly. Yeah, we've seen the video of him sitting there singing happy birthday to Diddy. And then we also heard about the rumors about him being at the freak offs. We even heard one where it was something about TD Jakes was sitting on a motorcycle in a freaking thong holding a peach cobbler or some craziness. It was like, first of all, I don't even want to have that visual in my mind of that actually happening. But to me, it also sounded a bit ridiculous. Not saying that, you know, he's above reproach or doing some things like that, but I just couldn't see the man with the big stomach wearing the button up suits putting on a thong with with some animal stripes or spots on it. Just didn't make sense to me. But I digress. That was actually one of the rumors that was out there. So when the news hit that the case was suddenly dismissed, that he dropped the lawsuit, not that the court dismissed it, not that the court threw it out, but that he decided to withdraw the case, to have it dismissed with prejudice, without prejudice, and without means he can refile the suit in the future. It wasn't dismissed with prejudice. I still was of the belief that, okay, maybe some behind the scenes settlement happened, because even with most cases settling, meaning once it's dismissed, it would be dismissed with prejudice so that the person cannot turn around and file a lawsuit at a later date because they've already settled the matter. It's possible that they don't want anyone to know about a possible settlement. And so to leave it open to make it look as if he has the right to file the suit again in the future, but hey, wink, wink, nod, nod, we already have this agreement that I'm not going to do that. Then it leaves some people in the public to say, well, hey, he had it dismissed, but it's dismissed without prejudice. So he can refile in the future, but them knowing he actually will not do it because they already came to an agreement. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, but you guys are free to think however you want, and you can disagree or agree respectfully in the comments. So you let me know what you think. But around the same time, guys, reports surfaced about allegations involving his son in law Brandon Coleman, or shall we say ex-son-in-law, because he was married to Cora Jakes. And around the time that he was arrested, Cora Jakes filed for divorce. So the same man he recently announced would be, you know what I mean? Not saying him, but the same man where he announced one of his other son-in-laws would be taking over the Potter's House ministry with his daughter, Sarah Jakes. Then you also have another ex-son-in-law who was alleging that, hey, this man touched me. And yeah, I'm in prison for allegedly touching a child, but listen, that situation, there's a lot of questions swirling and surrounding that too. So I don't really know, but I want to share this. I want to share a little bit of this news with you. So let's just get into this real quick. So I shared the news about this before, but I'm just going to go into this again because, again, these questions are surrounding the situation. And I don't care how quickly he wanted to just get rid of it and move on, people are still going to wonder and ask questions. Okay. So, an attorney facing financial sanction for fabricated citations in his legal filings related to Pastor T.D. Jakes' defamation lawsuit now claims to represent the convicted ex husband of Jakes' eldest daughter, Cora Jakes, and other unnamed males who he says have credible allegations against the Potter's House founder of grooming, sexual assault, sexting, and transporting them across state lines. Richard Brandon Coleman, 36, also known by his stage name Ski Ventura, is serving time in a Texas prison for aggravated sexual assault of a child and indecency with a child. Cora Jakes announced her divorce from him in January 2022, shortly before his crimes became public after a decade of marriage and two adopted children, Amari and Jason. And those adoptions are also questionable as well, but this story isn't about this right now. We may touch on that later. But I wanted to get back into this real quick because that story dropped in August. And then we have in October, TD Jakes drops the lawsuit. So it had a lot of people scratching their heads to say, why, Sway?
Developing legal battle, Bishop T.D. Jakes faces serious allegations from rapper Richard Brandon Coleman, also known as Ski Ventura, who is serving time in Texas for child-related sexual offenses. Coleman, once married to Jakes' daughter Cora, has been named alongside unnamed accusers in a defamation lawsuit involving Jakes, initiated by former pastor Duane Youngblood. Coleman's attorney, who faces sanctions for potentially dubious filings, plans to file a civil suit against Jakes and his daughter, claiming sexual misconduct and manipulation. Despite these escalating claims, Jakes' legal team, including prominent attorneys Dustin A. Poosh and Devin J. Trostick, deny the veracity of these accusations, suggesting Coleman's counsel pursues a baseless case to intimidate. Amid the controversy, Michelle Loud has accused Cora Jakes of coercing her into giving up her son's custody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to support Christ-centered journalism.
All right, guys. So you saw the video there, you heard the news, and these two, both of them are questionable, really. So the fact that this woman was married to this man who looks exceptionally sweet, okay? And this is just what it is. Unfortunately, a lot of times in these churches, these women who are really desperate to have a man, okay, they will accept things that they know they see, but they will dismiss it for the sake of having a man. And they'll say that God sent this man to them, but then something comes up later and then they file for divorce. And it's like, but I thought God sent this person to you. So I don't think God makes mistakes. So did maybe you make a mistake in saying that God sent this person to you because maybe it wasn't God? Maybe God didn't have anything to do with that. And that was just you being hot in the panties and really wanting to have a man. And the man really didn't want you. And the questions surrounding the adoptions of the two children, you heard in the news clip that I shared about Michelle Loud, who is the birth mother of the second so-called adopted child. And the first child, Amari, is the one that they were alleging was touched by Brandon Coleman. And there are questions surrounding how she legally was able to adopt that child, because they were saying, and this is all alleged, that the birth mother of that child, Amari, was a Mexican illegal immigrant, and that she was deported and they kept the child. Because a lot of states had these sanctuary cities, and a lot of times with the sanctuary cities, the churches would be connected to supposedly help these people. And it's possible that that was a situation similar to that, where they decided to allow themselves to help themselves to a child because she was not able to have children on her own, and Michelle Loud is the one that let that be known. And they never addressed those allegations. They never responded to Michelle Loud. They never said that she was lying. They never said that this stuff was not true. And I will always stand on believing Michelle Loud, because I don't believe she was lying about any of the things that she alleged about what happened to her and what they allowed to happen to her by having one of her children that she wanted. She was just going through a struggle to be taken from her so that Cora Jakes could be a mother to a second child that she did not give birth to. And she did a shady video, and I did a video about that maybe about a year or so ago, where she was throwing shade. Like I said, they've never directly addressed the situation, but she did a shady video where she was talking about something along the lines of all mothers have not all mothers who have given birth are actually mothers, or something like that. And to me, I felt like it was throwing shade to her former so-called friend, Michelle Loud. So my question is there a connection? Because it's like that story dropped in August, and then in October, TD Jakes drops his lawsuit for defamation. If these people defamed you, why wouldn't you move forward with the lawsuit, even if they didn't have the money? Because I thought the whole point was to shut this down, to say these people are lying, they have defamed my character. I don't care if they don't have two nickels to rub together. I'm going to drag them through the court system. Don't care if they can't afford an attorney, and one will not be appointed to them, because you are lying on my name and it is damaging my reputation. And I am someone that's supposed to be representing God and the Lord Jesus Christ, right? And I know the Bible says, hold your peace and let the Lord fight your battles. But hey, if you were going to be going along with that sentiment, then you never would have filed the lawsuit in the first place. You would have just held your peace and let the Lord fight your battles, not you filing a lawsuit for defamation against him and 10 alleged co-conspirators. And one of them allegedly was Larry Reed. So, it's like, did the internal family scandal, that all the things that are going on, was it a risk of renewed scrutiny? The discovery process that you have to go through in court, where some things possibly may have been revealed, where it's not looking good for him and for the family, and maybe that played a role in the decision to walk away from the case. Now, listen, I'm not sitting here saying that there's public record linking him to doing anything like that, but maybe there are some receipts that we just don't know about. But the dismissal, again, it was without prejudice. So technically he could refile. But like I said, maybe there is an agreement that they had where he isn't going to refile, but for the sake of the public scrutiny, he would dismiss it without prejudice. So people would think, well, hey, he'll refile it in the future. He's just taking a break from it because he's got other things going on. I just don't buy it. It's my personal opinion. So the timing, it's shady and it raises eyebrows. So in the court of public opinion, optics always are going to matter, even though our public opinion isn't going to make anything change in their lives or whatever, because they still have a huge following. They're still making millions of dollars. Sarah Jakes Roberts, I believe she made about 20 million or more for that Woman Evolve conference that she had, which was like one weekend. I believe it was either last month or in August, whenever it was. She made a bag, made a grip on that, and there are already people buying tickets to next year's event because they've already started selling tickets for it. Okay. And it's kind of like, this is just a family business. I talked about this before. So when you're a public figure and you're leading one of the largest churches in the country, every decision, legal or personal, it becomes a part of the narrative. And sometimes what you don't say speaks louder than what you do. So I want to know, guys, what do you think? Do you believe that it is possible that because of the things that could be coming out in discovery, and also where they mention that his ex-son-in-law, Brandon Coleman, amongst others, let's just not forget that, actually we're going to be filing civil lawsuits against TD Jakes separately because of things that were done to him and them. And listen, I get it. Some people are going to say, oh, he's a convicted felon. He touched children or whatever. Yeah, those are allegations. But we also have to remember, just because someone is in prison doesn't mean that they're guilty. And I'm not sitting here caping for him. But what I am going to say is that is a powerful family. And hey, if they wanted to put this dude away for some reasons, I'm not going to say it's not possible. We live in a corrupt country, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and fangirl or fan whatever any of these people, and definitely not just because you are in a pulpit, because a lot of these people are pulpit pimps and they don't care anything except what is the bottom line. It's a business. And if it's possible that they had some things that they could use against this guy to make him look guilty for the sake of getting rid of him, I'm not going to say that it's impossible, because if they had anything to do with Michelle Loud's child being taken so that Cora Jakes could have a second child, I'm not going to sit here and say that it is impossible for them to put some charges on this dude to get him put away because it was beneficial for the family. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm sitting here saying that it's not impossible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. So I want to know what you guys think. You let me know your thoughts in the comments. Here, liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.